Hello and welcome to my Wind Prayers Guild Wars tier list. So Wind Prayers is definitely one of the weirder ones. It's not too commonly run. It has like some use cases. To begin with, I'm just going to go over the one elite skill I never captured, Zealous Vow. So you basically get like 5 to 6 energy if you have like high investment in Wind Prayers while running this per hit. So whenever you hit with an attack, but you have -3 energy regen. It's not bad. You can run this with like dagger spam. I would say this is like maybe like A or B tier, maybe like closer to A because you could run this with dagger spam on a dervish if you just feel like running dagger spam on a dervish instead of Vow of Strength. So you could do it. You could run that. So it could be A tier. And I will switch over to PvE. Just go to Lion's Arch this time. All right, so let's open up my derv. So I got Mox, my big boy Mox over here, except he's in my inventory doing whatever it is he does. Alright, so let's go over the elite skills first. So, Grenth's Grasp. So, inflict cripple with your next attack, or with your attack skills and transfer 1 condition. No effect unless you are wielding a cold weapon. So, one thing to note about this skill is that you will need to deal cold damage in some way or another. You can use Grenth's Fingers. I think there's also a mysticism form that you deal cold damage. Let me just double check that. I want to say it's Grenth or Avatar of Grenth, but I don't think I have that. But you can deal cold damage in different ways. So basically what it does, it makes it so that you cripple and transfer conditions. I would use this for the I don't even know that condition transfer is super useful in PvE. This is like to me, this is like a PvP skill. This isn't bad. Like crippling things and transferring conditions isn't the worst. You might be able to transfer a bunch of conditions, but generally you want your backline to be pulling conditions off of you. You don't want to be wasting your elite slot, especially when Vow of Strength exists to run this. I would say this is like B tier. You can still run like a 2020 Sundering mod as long as you use like Grenth's Fingers. This will cause you to deal cold damage and also basically transfers conditions. This condition transfer thing isn't bad. This is definitely useful in PvP. I actually do run Grenth's Fingers in like random arenas. I have like an assassin build that runs it that's actually quite annoying because you can cleanse hexes from yourself using Pious Restoration and you can transfer conditions, so it's pretty irritating. But for the enemy. But yeah, I'd say this is like B tier. Onslaught, you attack and move faster, 25% faster, and gain 25% more adrenaline. So this is definitely good. It's also a flash enchantment. I would say this is like A tier. Vow of Strength is like S tier. That's why I'm rating this at A. But increasing your attack and movement speed and adrenaline gain in one skill isn't bad. Let's say we are only running like 9 Wind Prayers. But still lasts for its duration. You're going to be running 20% enchants on your scythe, so you could probably even lower it even further, but you still get some big value out of this, so I'd say that's A tier. So those are the elite skills. Let's just go over the non-elites. Just grab a few different skills here. Alright, so Attacker's Insights. Gives a 50% chance to block while attacking. So it's kind of like Flashing Blades in that sense. End effect causes weakness to adjacent foes. So this is definitely good for tanking physical to some degree. It's kind of like a Flashing Blades flash enchantment type of thing, which is an assassin elite that makes it so that as you're attacking, you have a high % chance to block. So I would say this is like B tier. It's not the best, but it's not bad. Causing weakness is okay. Just on adjacent though. Like if you're a dervish, you're probably going to be attacking backline. Like unless you're specifically balling up a ton of foes, this isn't going to be like huge value for you. So probably like B tier. Duana's, how do you say her name? Duana? I don't know. Duana's Touch. Heal for 51 for each enchantment on you, maximum 150. It is a touch spell. This is one of the weirder ones. Generally speaking, you're not going to be healing as a dervish. There are some healing skills in this. Touch spell heal it's generally the worst because like if you need to quickly spike an ally's health up, touch spells are not it. Like they're just not good. This could be okay as a self-heal, but like it's just really, I would say this is like C or D tier. Featherfoot Grace, you move 25% faster. Conditions expire 25% faster. Not a bad increased movement stance ability. The conditions expiring thing isn't really too useful. Like there's not really very many circumstances this is going to be helping you out in a huge way. I would say this is like C tier. Grant's Aura, you deal 21 less damage and steal 21 health when you hit. Initial effect, steal 21 health from all adjacent foes. I would say this is easy A tier. Stealing health is really good. I mean, reducing your damage isn't the best thing, but it doesn't really, because it converts your damage into armor ignoring life stealing. So this actually is great against like foes with high armor, and the initial effect. Like if there's 10 foes near you, you just stole like 210 health. That's insane. Like this is actually really good. The fact that it lasts so long is also good. It's a flash enchantment. This is A tier. This is really strong. Grunth's Fingers. Your attacks deal cold damage. Initial effect hits nearby for 34, which isn't bad. End effect transfers 2 conditions to all nearby foes. This is actually pretty good. The reason for that is if you get some nasty conditions on you, not only does it transfer them, but it transfers them to all nearby. So that's actually pretty decent. So it's a cleanse with upside, and it has some extra damage, and it can meet conditions for Grent's Grasp, or if you need cold damage for whatever reason. I would say this is like B tier, because condition transfer while strong is inconsistent. You can't rely on it. You don't know what conditions you're going to be getting. But like the spike damage, it's 5 energy. It's cheap. It's not bad. It's good in PvP though, because transferring conditions off of a flash enchantment teardown is really irritating for enemies. Let's put it that way. Guiding Hands, your next 2 attacks cannot be blocked. Initial effect removes blindness. I would say this is like D tier. Making 2 attacks unblockable is not very strong. Removing blindness, like you have healers and backline. Like there's no reason to run this. Harrier's Grasp, attacks against moving foes. Cripple them. Initial effect, you lose cripple, and 1 condition. Ends after applying cripple 3 times. It's not bad, but like let's see the use for it. I would say this is like B tier. Like if you need cripple, great, but this is like the most cripple skill ever. Like it like removes cripple. You apply cripple 3 times. But they have to be moving too, so like that's a big downside. Like if enemies run up to like if you're chasing an enemy, and you use this, like you hit them, and like they just stop moving, like that can happen a lot, and it's just like irritating. So I would say this is like B tier, if even, maybe even C tier. Harrier's Haste, you move 25% faster and deal plus 10 damage to moving foes. So this is actually pretty good. Foes are moving, so it just scales your damage. So it's not bad. I'd say it's like B tier. There's better ways of dealing increased damage as a dervish, but this isn't a bad skill. Oh, misclicked natural healing there. Alright, this is Haste. Your dervish enchantments recharge faster. Initial effect interrupts all adjacent foes. End effect interrupts all adjacent foes. So this, I would say, is A tier. Like, this is crazy. Interrupt? Like, you get... So, alright, so you have to consider one thing about flash enchantments. Flash enchantments cast faster than a Mesmer Dom skill. Why is that? Because they're instant. There is no casting time. They simply just occur. So you have an adjacent interrupt that just happens, and then on top of that, your enchants recharge faster, which can combo well with all of your teardowns, because you are running teardowns as a dervish. And then the fact that it's end effect after you tear it down is also an interrupt. Like, if you time it right, you get 2 good, useful adjacent interrupts plus like some maybe utility. So this is definitely A tier for its control. Mystic Healing heals you for 53, heals all enchanted party members for 53. This is one of those weird ones where they're like, oh, Derv can be a healer, and it's like, kind of, and Imbue Health is just better. Like, there's some stuff in Earth Magic that's okay, but like, Derv Healer isn't the best. Infuse Health and like other things, and like, what's that red skill? Spirit? No, not Spirit Leech. It's like some... Let me see. I think my Necro is running it, maybe. Oh, wrong Necro. Livia's probably running it. Let's pull her up. Oh, I'm not running it, actually. It's, what is it? It's in Restoration. It's like a spike heal. Spirit Transfer. This is a really good heal. So if you want like a fat heal, you want like Infuse Health or Spirit Transfer, or maybe even Imbue Health, but like this is just a weird... It's not bad, but they need to be enchanted, so... Alright, this one I actually really like. I would say this is probably like B tier because you have to invest heavily into mysticism, whereas if you're a derv, you want like... Or not mysticism, into wind prayers. So you probably... Like let's say you have like a split. Like you have like a 9+1, a 9+1, and then like your 12 scythe, your 12+1/+1 scythe. It still deals 80 damage. Maybe, so like let's put it at 10 just to see if we +1 it. So like 86 damage. Hits nearby. Does more damage if you're enchanted. So you're going to be enchanted. So this isn't bad. It's like a spike. It just hits like some damage. But there's better, like Scythe skills deal more damage. So I'd say it's like B tier. It's interesting because it's like one of the few spells in the game that uses adrenaline. So definitely an interesting ability. I actually like it. I think it's very interesting. But it like in terms of its use, it's not the best. It's like B tier. Natural healing. Okay, so you just heal yourself for a lot. It activates faster if you're not enchanted. I would say this is like D tier. I wouldn't run this. You're going to be running enchants, and if you aren't, like so many of your attack skills become better with teardown. So I just wouldn't run this ever. Pious Restoration. This skill is actually really good. Remove a dervish enchantment. Even at let me see. What's the lowest you can get? 2 hexes off. Yeah, I think on my assassin build in PvP, I run this with Grenth's Grasp or whatever, so I can remove hexes from myself and transfer conditions. And then I just run like a basic assassin spike build. But people get really pissed because they're like not they throw empathy on me and maybe like my monk's under stress and healing people and they're like, oh cool, the assassin's shut down. I just cleanse it for myself and then just start spiking the Mesmer again. This is a great PvP skill. In PvE it's not bad, but you really shouldn't be removing hexes from yourself. That's a job for your monk. So like C tier in PvE. In PvP this is probably like A tier. For like random arenas, especially when people don't expect it, because you only really need 8 wind prayers to get 2 hexes off, which everyone runs hexes. So, all right, Rending Aura. Let's put our wind prayers back up. Rending Aura. Your attack skills remove enchantments from knocked down foes. Initial effect: 34 cold damage to nearby. End effect: cracked armor. So, ignoring the removing enchantments from knocked down foes. The initial damage and the cracked armor are not bad. Obviously, Dervish isn't the best class for knocking things down. If you have like Meteor Spam, Meteor Showers, Psychic Instabilities, maybe an Earthshaker Warrior in your team comp, this could be helpful if there's like heavy enchants, but definitely not the best ability. I would say this is like circumstantially A tier, but in general it's like B tier because of the cracked armor. Signet of Mystic Speed. This is one of the weird ones. Your next 3 self-targeted enchantments cast instantly. Flash enchantments do not consume uses of the skill. So this one just speeds up enchantments. Maybe there's some use for this, but as far as I can tell, this is like C tier. Maybe I'm off about that, but like there's probably still like some weird specific build. But in general use, I'd say this is like C or D tier. Signet of Pious Restraint. Inflict cripple. Remove one of your Derv enchantments. It also hits nearby and recharges faster. So this could be okay. I mean, crippling a bunch of foes for free isn't bad. I would say this is like B tier. Alright, now we're coming up to some, like, 2 interesting skills. Test of Faith. Deals 55 cold damage, removes 1 enchantment. Target foe is dazed for 3 seconds if that foe is not enchanted. So this gives you access to daze on a dervish, which is really interesting. I believe it checks the daze after you remove an enchant, so it's actually pretty good. And if you run, well, I'm not going to get into build making, but like this, if you could spread this somehow, it'd be decent. But there's better ways of spreading days than this. But it's not bad. I'd say it's like B tier. Vow of Piety. You have plus 24 armor and 3 health regeneration. Renews whenever an enchantment ends on you. This is pretty strong. On a player though, you're probably just going to run I Am Unstoppable, which is probably just considered better. But this is decent. I'd say this is like B tier. Whirling Charge. Flash enchantment. You move 33% faster for 5 seconds, 50 cold damage to nearby. The next time you hit a foe and this enchantment ends. To all other nearby. I wouldn't run this. I honestly wouldn't run this. It's not bad. It's basically like Enraging Charge that has like a every other AoE. Like it hits every other on nearby when you hit a dude. So it's kind of like Enraging Charge, but it costs so much. And Mysticism does reduce the cost, but I would say this is like C tier. Winds of Disenchantment. Remove a Dervish enchantment. All nearby foes lose an enchantment and take 68 damage. So this isn't bad. It's like a AoE. It's a nearby enchant removal. That's not bad at all. I'd say this is like A tier for utility. On a Dervish, I don't know if this is the best, but you could run this on something else to remove enchants if you needed it. But I'd say it's like A tier just in a specific use case. Otherwise, it's like B or C tier because enemy enchants aren't always high impact. But so yeah, that's my Wind Prayers tier list. Overall, I would say Wind Prayers is like B or C tier. It's not like the best. It has like some utility skills, some notable skills that come to mind would be Grenth's Aura, Grenth's Fingers. Harrier's Haste isn't bad. Grenth's Grass could be okay, but it's mostly like a PvP skill. Onslaught is decent. Pious Restoration is good in PvP especially. Rending Aura could be good for enchant removal if you have knockdown spam and enchants are a problem. Test of Faith is kind of interesting because it can give you days access. And then Winds of Disenchantment is a nearby enchant removal that's not elite, and it has a very easy condition to meet as a Dervish. The Dervish has pretty decent energy management because Mysticism reduces your flash enchant costs. And then there's like things like Radiant Scythe, which just hit a bunch of dudes, get some energy. So like definitely some decent skills. But yeah, like the main standout is Grenth's Aura, like if we're being honest. Like the main, and like Onslaught. These are like the main reasons you would probably run this. But yeah, that's my Wind Prayers tier list. If you think something should be higher or lower, feel free to make a good argument as to why. You know, maybe there's a good use case I didn't think of or I'm just not aware of. So yeah, thanks for checking this out and I'll see you in the next one.